I think we're live. I'm going to proceed with the show.
This is Things Police See, first-hand accounts, with your host, Steve Gold.
Hey guys, welcome to Things Police See. This is Cops in the News, where we talk about law enforcement news stories as reported to us by the always reliable, trustworthy, and honest news media. My co-host is the handsome Prince and King of Police Backgrounds. He's a host at Police Applicant Podcast, and he's the owner and runner of policebackground.net. I can't get it right. This is the second try, guys. Oh my goodness. You can hear us now. Ken, you can hear me. Woo!
I can hear you.
Yeah. So we tried the first time, and then everything was melting down. And I told Ken I checked my fan on my computer was like going crazy, and I looked at the temperature. It was almost 200 degrees, which is way too hot. So
way too hot.
We're back. Hopefully we didn't lose everybody. No, they're climbing back on board. So Ken, how are you doing now that you can hear me?
I'm good. I can hear you good because I had a brain hemorrhage from the audio last time, but now I feel good. And,
you're such a good sport. You're like, no, we can just, I'll be able to make it out. I'll read this long question, and you're like, what?
I'll just read your lips, and I'll tell everybody what you said. Alex is here. Alex Ketlin is here.
Yeah,
Patrick O'Donnell.
There we go. So now I got my fancy screen, and we can both enjoy it now.
Yeah, this way I can actually see their faces, their mugs. Patrick O'Donnell looks like a dog. I don't know. Is it just me?
P.O. I can tell you, I know for a fact he's not a dog. He's an actual human man. He's been on the podcast Dose. Now he did Cops in the News, so he's a friend of the show. He's legit. He's a legit man.
Where's JJ? JJ, you have to come back.
It's a one and done for him. There's Kurt.
Right.
Kurt Geisinger, another guest of the show. Sir, welcome. Good to see you. So, Ken, like I was saying before we had our debacle, I was going to read you a question from a fan of the show. Good kid, and he's got a predicament he'd like us to comment on. So let me run this by you now that hopefully you'll be able to understand me. He says, what's going on, Steve? I had a question for you that I wanted to get an opinion on from the perspective of an LEO. So I live in California and you're in Mass. Both states have made carrying automatic and out-the-front type knives illegal, switchblades, dirk knives, stuff like that. If you were out in public on patrol and you saw someone using an automatic knife for a legitimate purpose, like opening boxes or something like that, would you say anything? Or even if you were able to recognize the clip of a well-known automatic knife brand in someone's pocket. A lot of cops do carry these, like Microtechs and stuff, so they might recognize it. I asked because I may or may not have started carrying a Microtech OTF on the daily a couple weeks back, and I'm curious how a reasonable cop would react. Ha ha ha. Obviously, you can't speak for any other officers, but I'm curious. So what I would say from my perspective, I don't have a big hard-on for automatic knives. I mean, in the Mass law, they were outlawed a long time ago because there was actually knives that would shoot a blade, and there was all kinds of stuff people were coming up with. The automatic knives now, what's the difference between that and an assisted blade? You know what I mean? Like there's really not, but in Mass, I believe it's a felony. And the only time I've ever charged it was we had a domestic arrest and I patted the guy down and he had a switchblade. And that just added to my case. It just added because we're already arresting him for domestic abuse, beating his girlfriend up, and now he has a per se dangerous weapon on him. So I charge him. But for me, Ken, like if I'm on patrol and I see the UPS man take out like a little 3-inch blade and open a box or whatever, I'm not really caring. But it is a felony, and there are cops that do care, and they will grab that. What do you think?
I think that if I saw the UPS guy with one, I'd put out a help call first off, and then I would do a felony takedown and right. knee
get on
to
the ground.
Back, the whole thing. Yeah. Personally, I probably wouldn't care. I mean, you have to be kind of logical about it. We learned in the police academy that you enforce the law by the spirit of the law, not the letter of the law. Given the fact that it's a felony, I think that, there's a lot of felonies that people get arrested for, and then they're let out 5 minutes later. So
Especially now.
yeah. Is it mandatory in Massachusetts? Like if you see this thing and it's a felony?
No, it's the only thing we have really on the books that's like you shall do something is like a warrant. You shall arrest if you run into somebody with a warrant. You're not supposed to let them go. Everything else is kind of, is what's the word, Ken? The word for discretion. It's discretionary. So that's what I told him. I said, I can't tell you 100% because you might run across that cop. But for me, if you're clean cut, you have a job, you're a working guy or gal, and you're not like, some kind of thug involved in something else, I'm not really caring. But like I said, you might run into that trooper on the highway in Washington that, he sees this a half inch sticking out of your pocket and goes, that's a Microtech OTF. Step out of the car.
Step out of the car. Well, now what if like I have a it's one of those Home Depot special box cutters, but it's not the little skinny kind that you pull the blade out. It's got a little handle on it, and you flick it out, and it locks the blade.
Right.
So is that just because I got it at Home Depot? It's a box cutter. Is that different? I mean, I don't know. I'm not sure what that law targets. Who's that law targeting?
Yeah, I think it was for street toughs, holding people, mugging people. I think there's an element of fear when someone takes a knife out that, flips the blade out. It kind of like that's their introduction. Hey, I got this knife that flips out. I know how to use it, type of deal. But I think it's all very old fashioned, and to me, I don't care. But if you're, what I also said to him, if you're thinking that much about it, and you're looking, and if you're possibly looking at a career in law enforcement, just don't carry it. I mean, because it's not really worth it if you're gonna if that scenario could play out for you, you could get charged.
Yeah, I think in answer to that question, I think that just don't carry it. You don't know who you're going to run into, right? There are some people that we call in the profession police boys. And if you run across a police boy, they're the ones that are a little too, their underwear are a little too tight. Their Superman underoos are a little too tight. Those are police boys.
They get a little excited.
Yeah, and you just never know when you're going to run into one. So I wouldn't even carry one.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Absolutely. JJ is back. No criminal intent. I'd leave him alone. Yeah, Kurt, I agree totally.
Yeah, I'm with Kurt.
I'm with the C-Man. All right, Ken, let's get into some stories because we have 8 of them, and they're not all law enforcement. I did sprinkle in some nonsense, some just silly stories, but
stupid stuff.
I think first up is moi, and we have Boston Police Department. They went ahead and fired a sergeant and a patrolman for not getting the vaccine, and you'll see Mayor Wu's vaccine requirement. That's Mayor Wuhan, perhaps? Come on. We're not dumb, guys. We know she's a plant. Come on. Wu is her last name. Is a little too easy on that one.
Bada bing.
But she, one of them was Sergeant Shayna Catone and then Officer Joseph Abciano. Mm-hmm. Catone, it says in the article she had multiple complaints about her, but I mean, complaints, if you're a city cop, you're going to get complaints. There's just no way. They didn't mention discipline. And side note about her, she also saved someone's life during the Boston bombing, and while off duty, ran into a burning building and saved people. So sounds like a pretty good cop. Joseph served as a Marine. Their 2 biggest faults, and when you're in a city like Boston, and you're going against the machine, what they say, you never win against City Hall. They talked out about the vaccine mandates from the government, and he spoke about January 6th, calling some who were present were patriots, and patriots now equals white supremacy, it seems. And he also criticized Mike Pence on Twitter, which to me is like, you do have to maintain some decorum when you're a police officer. Like I would never really think of like attacking a government official on my Twitter account. I wouldn't even bother, first of all, because he's got 1 billion followers. Mm-hmm. But just people in your life will see that you did it. He'll never see it. No one's going to, you know what I mean? That to me is kind of like over the top, but I think it's pretty obvious in this case, Ken, that they went against City Hall. They pushed hard. And, when you're a police officer, if they want you gone, you'll be gone, because there's a lot of little policies they can wrap around your behavior or not.
Oh yeah.
If they like you, you're a solid guy, you can come into the break room and say all kinds of crap, sexist stuff, whatever. And that's just Ken. He's funny. But if they want you gone, the wrong supervisor hears it and they just, goes on the notepad. So I don't know. What are your thoughts, Ken?
Well, I want to give a shout out to Mike McBain for California. He's in the chat. Mike was a LAPD officer who decided not to get the jab, as it were, and had to leave the job because of that. But he's he's super, super knowledgeable. He's been on major news networks, being interviewed, and been a guest on some high-profile shows. So, Mike, thanks for being here.
God bless you.
Good guy. Yeah, I follow him on Instagram and get all good scoop on that stuff. So welcome to the podcast, Mike. I think that this is one of those things where they lumped two things into this story, but this thing where you're pushing back, this sergeant was not afraid to go out and say what she thought. And I think that she ruffled the feathers of some of these higher ups. But when you, I don't know how it works back east, because this is in Massachusetts as well. But to get in the news because you pissed off the mayor of a big city like Boston, that seems like a political hit job to me. Why is it even? Yeah. Why would the mayor even get involved?
She claims I have nothing to do with this. But you don't think the mayor chirps in the police commissioner's ear? Of course, that's what every day.
Is it like TV? Is it like the TV shows where the somebody goes to the mayor's office and they're with the police department and the mayor is like all hands on in the police department? Is it like that?
I don't know. I mean, in a city like Boston, probably. I mean, it's very far left, and their tentacles reach wide. I don't know. Maybe it is. Is it like a TV show like me? Like when the chief calls me in, he's like, "Cool, you wrecked it in their chopper." Like I had to get that pervert. I don't know.
Are you mad at me? Yeah. So, I think it's a bunch of crap. But it's interesting to me that we're hearing about this still.
It's brutal. Like I had the other day, I was in the office, and a guy came in from a company, and they specialize in cleaning up crime scenes. And he was a trooper, like 20 years on the job. And no, I think 25 actually. And he was one of the troopers in Mass that wouldn't take the jab. And now here he is working for this company. I talked to him for an hour. And it is, I mean, I really admire him for sticking to he told me it was a sincere religious belief. And he took it all the way through the courts, him and 5 other troopers. And the judge actually ruled there is no doubt in your belief, and it is your right under Mass law, but we will not go against the order of the governor, and you are relieved of duty. So they found in it, like he probably thought he was winning until the end, and they said, no, you're rightfully terminated. And it was him and like 5 other guys, but there was like 300 that got let go. But because they didn't follow it through with the lawsuit, all the other guys lost their pensions. Him and the 5 other people got to keep them. And this guy had just bought a huge house with 9 acres. He had to sell it. Him and his wife had to change around their finances. They had to scramble to find work. Like he really stuck to his guns. And now they're at the point where, other states are. I mean, come on, we need cops, like where everybody's hurting. Other states are bringing them back, and Mass just won't do it. They will not do it.
Wow, that sounds like a little pride issue to me. I know a bunch of people in Washington State, recruiters, and they'll say, yeah, we'll take, if someone got fired for not taking the shot, we'll take them.
Oh, yeah.
They don't have a problem with it. Because now it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it never mattered in the first place, but now all of a sudden it doesn't matter even more, and
Right.
they'll take them back. I think even LAPD is. I can't remember. LAPD kind of walked back some of that stuff, but I can't remember for sure. Hey, Mick Stevenson's here, man.
Mick from overseas, across the pond.
Across the pond.
Hello, good sir. Yeah,
Mick.
I think they like the latest thing I read up on the whole controversy was plainly put. So they know it doesn't stop you from spreading it, and they said really the main set of benefits, and this from people I trust, like in the medical realm, say that 60 and above is the group that really benefited from it. Like, and it was good they got it, and they had the least amount of bad things. But they said 60 below, there are huge problems, and they're just starting. So, like, remember at the very beginning, they were like, there was this idea of like, everybody threw around on social media the idea of like, all right, let's protect the vulnerable, and then everybody else just work. Like that idea of like, just protect the people who need protection, and then, but that went out the window with the hysteria, and we just did the huge lockdown, and we mandated these vaccines and all that. But it just bothers me because we're not changing with new information. Like you said, is it an ego thing? Like is it a pride thing? Like, okay, we have new info. We were in a panic. Now we have the new info. So let's work on that. You know, why not?
Yeah.
We can be malleable here, right? Maybe not.
It's just difficult for me because it all just like this perfect storm that came about. You had 2020 with the BLM, George Floyd riots. Then you had COVID, and then you had this big jump dog pile on the cops, and then all the cops are leaving, and they're still sticking to their guns. These cities and all that, saying if you don't get this shot, we're going to fire you. They fire
Right.
them. Now they're in this huge death spiral with recruitment, and now they can't get enough cops. But they're too prideful to say, "Hey guys, everything's cool now. You want to come back?" Because you would have a bunch of people come back, right? Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, becoming a Mass State Trooper is one of the hardest police jobs in the country to get into, and their boot camp police academy is 6 months of hell. I've had Marines tell me I'd rather go through Paris Island again than do that academy again. So, and the amount of money poured into a trooper to just remove that many and not bring them back is like it's cut off your nose to spite your face situation. It's like,
Yeah.
bring them back. What are you doing?
You've got hundreds of thousands of dollars in training and all this stuff going on, and you could just easily bring him back and say, "We're sorry. Would you mind coming back?" And no. Instead, they would rather just lose officers right and left and have trouble with recruitment in the first place, and just not bring these people back. I just think that's the dumbest thing ever.
It's nuts. Look, Luke Sluter says they're hiring deputies in Utah now at 18.
Yeah.
Woo, baby,
hap-
that's young.
That's been happening. That's been happening, man. So, yeah. Hey, Mike, you want to be a statey, Mike? What's up with that? LAPD, but he went with LAPD. I don't have nothing to say about LAPD right now.
Ken was
Asia.
part of the good old days.
Asia Henderson is here. She's a police applicant podcast listener, and she's up in Washington. WSP had a ton of troopers leave or get fired. They sure did because of the shot. All over the place, man.
Yeah, I have
All
a
over
buddy.
the place.
I have a buddy who's pretty high up in the Mass game warden, state game wardens, and they had a test coming up. And I always wanted to be a game warden. I thought that was a cool job, and I was kind of chatting with him, and I said, "Are they still? Do you got to be like quadruple jabbed?" He's like, "Yep." I said, "Well, you're not going to get my application. I'm not going to go through that." So they're sticking to their guns, man.
I talked to Mike McMahon a lot, and I know why he's such a badass, because he was born and raised in Quincy, Massachusetts.
Quincy, brother.
You know how these Massachusetts people are, Steve.
Park the car in Harvard Yard. Oh, yeah. Yeah, they like drinking. They like fighting.
But yeah, I mean, I don't have any sympathy for these cities that are refusing to take these officers back when they could easily just do that.
Yeah, it's silly. All right, Ken, you're up next, sir, with the Gascon story.
This is hilarious.
Let me get to your man
Mike,
here. There he is. Look, he's
Mike-
starting to look like a lady.
Have you ever heard him talk?
Briefly.
Man, I'm just waiting for puberty to kick in. So
He looks like a real Karen right there.
Oh my gosh, he's horrible. JJ. So this guy, anybody that knows this guy knows he's a weasel. This DA, such a progressive, Soros-elected DA, George Gascon in Los Angeles County. You do not want to be a cop in California, in Los Angeles County, in the city of Los Angeles because of this guy right here. He likes to. It's a funny thing because the way this guy operates is he coddles criminals. He gives them a pass. He won't prosecute. He lets them out. And then he gets hit up all the time. They were trying to, that's right, Kermit the Frog. They did a recall on him. It failed, so they did another recall. Got all the 700,000 signatures. I think it was 700,000. And then the county says, "Oh, some of them are really bad. No, the recall is not going to go on." So they couldn't recall him again. And so he's responsible for the crime running amok in Los Angeles County.
Yeah.
Los Angeles County is just having a horrible, horrible time with crime. So the people are saying, hey, what about the victims? Hey, we need help. We need help from cops. We need the DA to prosecute people. So everybody is buying up guns. They're afraid of follow home robberies, all this stuff. Okay, so we know who this guy is and what he's responsible for. So if you go up the screen, this is what he does. So George Gascon, he now because it's so dangerous in downtown Los Angeles, he's offering free shuttle service for his DA staff so they can get to work safely.
There's a safety zone right there.
So this is so ironic. Crime is so bad, Steve, that his DAs need protection.
It's, just to get them into work. I'm sure they've told him, like, listen, I'm not even going to work in this office anymore if you can't protect us.
Yeah, so they can get there in time to let criminals out of jail. And it says that that top paragraph, it says sworn personnel with the Bureau of Investigation will work in 2 shifts for each day of the work week, 6:20 a.m. to 8:20 a.m. and 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. And the shuttle will stop every 20 minutes. So they're putting out money for this special bureau to protect it. What it is, it's a protection detail for district attorney personnel. And he's responsible for all this frickin' crime in the first place.
You can't write this stuff, man. It's ridiculous.
No.
Is LAPD going to be doing the security detail, or are they going to hire private security?
No, these are Bureau of Investigation, probably investigators, because the DA investigators are sworn. They're sworn peace officers in California, and they're armed and all this kind of stuff. So it's just a security detail. That's all it is. But the irony that his workers need protection, and this is downtown LA. You remember when we used to go to lunch and go walking down and go by,
it was awesome.
Parker Center. It's in the same area. It's a Hall of Justice area.
Yeah.
It's the Hall of Justice area where all law enforcement is, and they need protection.
Oh man, they're nuts. I remember when all the homeless people would sleep on the front lawn of City Hall, and then if they had an event, that's when the mayor would be like, "All right, get them out of here." And they'd be booting their asses out into the street. We need a photo op. Get out of here.
This is just embarrassing. But it's really, really sad. Look at Gary Steiner's going to town, man. Look at that.
That's a heck of a comment. Let's see here.
Yeah.
It's about control. Gary Steiner says, about control, the same cowardly politicians, police managers that bowed to woke anti-police advocates are getting rid of officers that believe in living up to their oath. And yeah, absolutely. It's a long message, Gary, but I get the gist of it. You're right.
Long. So I just think it's the stupidest thing, but it's just the fact that he's so tone deaf on this. So his little workforce gets to get special protection paid for by the taxpayers, right? But the rest of LA County, they can suck it.
I don't get it, Ken. I heard it might have been on the Federalist or something. They interviewed someone that knew him back in the day, and they said he was like nothing like this. Like they said he was like not even close to this. If he was a Democrat, it was like, a centrist. So like when he started doing this stuff, even his old coworkers were like, "Oh my gosh, like who is this guy? He must have drank some of that Kool-Aid."
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what happened to him, but he went up through the ranks, and he had 3 years on me. So he came on the job 3 years before me. I think he was in the 77 class. But all the time that he was at LEPD, I never heard of him. Never heard his name. So that means that he was not the guy that was going, Deputy Chief so-and-so Gascon said something about Chief Gates and about the cops are bad and all this kind of stuff. We need to investigate. Never heard anything about him. Then he goes up to San Francisco. How he went up to San Francisco and he becomes chief of police. Then he leaves the chief of police office because he's going to be the San Francisco DA. Now, bear in mind, this guy's the DA in San Francisco, goes back from San Francisco, becomes the DA of Los Angeles County. He has never tried a criminal case in his entire career. And now he's the DA of LA County.
I always admire in a way people like this that have these kind of balls where they just go for these jobs and they just BS their way through it and they get the job. It's like I would be crapping my pants if I'd never, ran a trial or, defended someone in court. Now you're going to be in charge. I'd be like, oh, they're going to find out I'm a fraud. But I think like narcissists have that disconnect. They just figure I'm the best. They know it. They're going to see that. And I think I even read an article a while ago that said your level, like a little bit of narcissism is good for leaders. And they said your level of narcissism actually will affect or impact the outcome of your interview. They said it actually helps you if you're kind of a narcissist because you're like, yeah, baby, I'm what you're looking for. You found it. Congratulations. When do I start?
Well, for law enforcement, because the DA in LA County, he's the head law enforcement officer in LA County. Shouldn't he know about how to prosecute criminals? And yet it's on the job training.
Yeah, Ken, that's mildly interesting. Get out there, Gascon. Clean it up. My goodness. Man. Well,
he's a clown. He's a clown. But yeah.
What right. Well, say? The next one I have on is a little bit of a silly story, but we're gonna do it anyways. It's I don't know if it's real. I'm gonna play the video. You can tell me your thoughts. I really couldn't find if it was real or not. I know somebody in a 7-Eleven started a fire or blew something up before this happened. This guy, there's like a SWAT team outside the bathroom that wants to yank this guy off the toilet to arrest him. They got pepper guns, all that. And, people were saying, like, I think this is fake because the way the cops are, what's he got that paintball gun for? Well, that's a pepper ball gun. And the cops look pretty legit to me.
Yeah, they look legit.
I mean, and a number of scenarios could end up with this. This guy could have been terrorizing people and then went in there and they might think he's faking taking a dump. But viewer discretion, or viewer warning, there is it's a little bit of it's potty talk, let's say. So just so you know.
No pun intended.
Right. Here we go.
And you need to pull your pants up and let's go ahead and move forward with this.
Logan, you're under arrest. Stand up now.
It's going to escalate, man. Don't make it escalate.
I'm about to stand. I'm afraid y'all going to shoot me. We're not going to if you comply. Stand up.
What I tell you to do, ladies. Nobody's going to shoot you.
It's a doo-doo shield.
I know what it is. Stand up. Okay.
You are under arrest.
Comply. I've got one more.
Stand up.
I got pooping.
one more.
You are under arrest.
So hold on a second, please. Hold on, please. I got one more pinch.
They look legit to me, but I don't know.
God damn.
All right, let's go, Logan.
Hold on, so 1 second. It's almost there.
Let's go, Logan. We're done.
Dude, I'm almost there. Hold on, please.
Explain this to you.
Please.
I've got irritable bowel syndrome, man. Please.
You keep making this stuff up, man. It's not.
I'm not making it up. Do you not smell my ass?
Oh, jeez.
So dumb.
I mean, clearly they were. I just can't believe I couldn't find a backstory. Maybe someone watching could tell us. Obviously they were after him. They didn't just go to the 7-Eleven bathroom to to yank the guy out from pooping. But he was really selling it. He's like, no, wait, I got another one. Wait, no.
Yeah. I mean, there's some stupid people out there, man. But I mean, it could be the officers look legit to me. I think, the stupid things people will do for clicks and for likes.
Yeah.
I honestly believe that this could be one of those things.
Yeah, because before this, a couple months before this, that guy at Home Depot said that he was going to go blow up the bathroom, and they called the cops, and that guy got a bunch of exposure. This guy probably told the clerk, who knows, something to get the SWAT team there, or swatted himself. Yeah, that's a legit question, Alex Getlin. Who the hell poops in the 7-Eleven? Psychopaths. That's who. I'd rather poop my pants than go to a 7-Eleven.
What could he have done that they would? Why would they? Okay, so they're carrying this big ballistic shield, right? Mm-hmm. Why would they need that? What was the story before this happened? A poop shield.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Man.
I don't know. There's so many possibilities. He could add a weapon. Who knows? But just the way the guy talks, he sounds so, like unimpressed. He's not very nervous or scared. He's very just like, guys, I'm just trying to poop. He's probably a psycho.
And if there was something that preceded it where they felt that they needed a ballistic vest and a big warrant search entry, why would he just sit down on the toilet and go poop? Why would he do that? So I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, Alex says the guy's TikTok is literally only that video. There you go. You go.
That was one of your better stories, Steve. I have to say that.
Well, Doug, my journalistic integrity is important to me, and I like to bring it to the show.
Well, my stories are stupid compared to yours. Your stories are the best. Mine are like, oh well.
Yeah, this real life, hard hitting stuff you bring. It's like, come on, kid, this guy's trying to poop. The cops are harassing him.
Whatever.
All right.
So interesting.
Oh, hold on. I haven't got it completely under control, Ken, but I'm good at this. This is the Ontario story.
So the headline out of Fox 11 reads, like, quote unquote, like a war zone. Suspect inside a police cruiser engages shootout with Ontario officers. And before we get into the story, because your questions are like my questions, and I guess you can just go and play the video. And this is the actual video outside a stereo shop where the bullets went through the stereo shop's windows. And the guy, you know what? When your bullets are coming into your shop windows, what do? You want to get your cell phone out, start recording. So that's what this guy did.
You do whatever it takes to get the video, Ken. Forget about your life. That's a lot of bullets.
Breaking news, new video, exclusive video, just into the Fox 11 newsroom. A Wild West.
I'll skip ahead here because there's more. Yeah, here we go. There's more footage. They're just doing mag changes, baby.
It's a terrifying and puzzling 9 minutes of video. A suspect in a gun battle with Ontario police. Will Califf, who filmed it, saw what led up to the barrage of bullets.
They had a suspect in the car and handcuffed in the back. For some reason, somehow he got a hold of a gun. He's shooting at them. They ran away from the car. The car started to roll.
Califf picked up his cell phone as the patrol car is rolling away.
Oh my gosh.
Slowly, right towards his store. The impact breaking the windows at American Stereo Masters. Califf is inside and continues to film as the officers ask each other. Yes. Then Califf says he heard the gun battle we showed you.
I'm sorry, man.
So he did he get one of their guns, or did they put him in the cruiser with the gun, or did he just climb in the cruiser?
Well, the funny thing is, though, there's no follow-up stories to this because Ontario PD, they're not saying anything. But, I mean, it's difficult for me not to laugh at this. Thankfully, nobody got hurt, okay? But it's difficult for not to, because you see the guy right here near the white car, the officer, he pops up, fires some rounds, and goes back down. It's like a cartoon or a movie or something like that.
He's like, he's got a gun, right? Okay, let me shoot.
Yeah. And what's he shooting at? And then the police car is just kind of rolling down the street. I was like, what the heck, man? So kind of basic police work 101. You're supposed to search suspects before you put them in your car, and before you leave the station at the beginning of your shift, you're supposed to pull the. Well, we pulled the seat out. Now there's plastic seats or something back there to check for gun. You check for weapons and things that make sure there's not something left in your car. But the basic thing is searching a suspect before you put them out in the car. And I think this guy, if I'm reading it right, this guy was cuffed when he got in the car. And then how is he in this shootout? And the other thing is, how is he still alive?
Yeah. And how did he get from the back seat to the front seat where he put it in drive?
Yeah. What the heck? And JJ and Mike, maybe you guys have more information on this, but yeah. So these are the questions that I have. What up? What happened, Ontario?
Yeah, I know that area in Ontario too. That's like the downtown area. It's they were cleaning it up when I left. And,
That's not too far from where you used to live, I don't think.
Yeah, they were. I mean, when I was there, right when we were leaving, our property value started to skyrocket because Ontario went against Sacramento for like a $40 million grant for downtown improvements, and Ontario won. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, our property values were like, pow. But you got to stop having shootouts if you want those property values to keep going up.
That's just one of those things where you go, I'm thankful that nobody got hurt, but what the hell was that? That somebody in and it wasn't a partner gun. It was a shootout. There's blah 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 blah. So yeah, Mike is right. Radio silence from Ontario. You haven't heard anything about this, but how stinking embarrassing for the department. Yeah, Raphael, you're not too late. We were about 20 minutes late because we.
Ken had a technical difficulty he couldn't figure out. It wasn't me at all.
Ken had a difficult. So you're doing okay. You're doing okay, Raphael. But yeah.
Sarah Pomeroy says we use the F around and find out scale, and the more you F around, the more you find out. That is true. She's in Australia.
The more you find. Australia.
Yeah. Yep. I sent 2 Things Please See stickers out there to the bush. And it took a long time. Well, she joined the Patreon as a supporter, and I was like, let me get them to you. And then I wrote her an email like 5 weeks later. I'm like, did you get the stickers? She's like, not yet, but they'll come. I'm like, geez. That's a long time.
It'll get there. Yeah. It'll get there. Yeah, so that story is just one of those scratch my head stories. I don't understand it. But hey, what can you say? We'll never find out because Ontario PD will not tell anybody about it.
They will not break the code of silence.
Oh, look, she went full on Australia on us here.
Good day. I like it. Everybody loves an Australian accent.
Yeah, I mean, it's just everybody does.
Sarah knows Australian policemen and women, and I've kind of lightly hinted to her that, well, not so lightly. I directly asked her if she could get them to come on the show, but I guess their government is a lot stricter with what they can say. So I think I had one guy on the hook, and then I wrote back to him like 3 or 4 times, nice guy. And then I think ultimately he wanted me to write a formal request to his command staff.
Oh, geez.
And I was like, dude, I just can't do it. I can't make promises, about you. What if I get myself in some kind of Australian legal bind and they put out a warrant for me? Interpol comes over and grabs me. I can't do that. I got kids. I got kids to feed.
They'll probably do it at the same time they're making the rounds, arresting Putin. They'll come back around, arrest you, go back down to Australia. Yeah.
Who's that orange-haired podcaster troublemaker?
Oh, is it?
Grab him on the way.
She says she's working on it.
Sweet.
She's working on it.
Yeah, I believe her too. She's a doer. All right.
She's a doer.
So, Ken. All right. Evidently, the state of Texas is sick and tired of not having security and their own, I can't come up with words tonight, Ken, their own sovereignty. They do not like the fact that people can just walk over the border into their backyards constantly. It's been happening by the millions. It's a huge problem. I can't blame them. And in true Texas fashion, because Texas is one of those states, Ken, I'm sure you've seen. Well, they have things like posses. They have sheriff's gangs. These aren't necessarily all cops. You can be a retired cop. You can just be for this particular thing they want to start, this enforcement of the border. You can just be a citizen with no felonies. So they kind of hold to the whole, Marshall Dillon right in the middle of town and going, "Hey, I need a posse. Men of the town assemble." And that's what they're doing. So they want to form a group of people that will enforce the borders, along with building more border walls to keep illegals from coming into Texas, because it's obviously causing gigantic problems. Obviously, the people on the right are for it. The people on the left are not. And in the middle, I have my own fair amount of questions about something like this, because I don't understand how it would work if you are giving people authority like at the border, which is kind of like a no man's land. You're giving them authority, but they're going to have a certain, this quote was from the left, obviously, but this is especially concerning when combined with the fact that all officers and employees on the border unit will have immunity from criminal and civil liability, but for any actions they take that aren't authorized. So that's no different than a cop. So yeah,
what's the difference?
Yeah, if they break the law, they just worded it fancy, to make it look bad. But it was going to be up to 10 years in prison and $10,000 in fines for coming over the border illegally. And I don't know. I can't blame them. They want it. They're not getting any help. They want to do something for their safety and security of their border towns, right?
Well, I will allow this because I think it's I think it's perfectly fine. I just want to segue for just a minute, Steve. You guys. I feel like Steve's hair is doing the Conan O'Brien thing on us right now, just a little bit more, and we will be Team Coco. Team Coco right here. Listen, just feel that.
The police departments have greatly eased up on regulation to hold on to us, so I look like the lead singer of the Bee Gees right now. Again, 3 weeks ago, I had a nice high tight on the sides, and this was trimmed, but my hair grows fast, and then I work a lot, so I don't get a haircut. And then I even told Carrie head on the door the other day, I'm like, I have to wear my hat all day because my hair is just ridiculous.
And JJ hasn't said anything about my Steve beard. I don't have a Steve beard, but
I like it.
Mine's a little whiter than yours.
A little bit more salt and pepper, but it looks good.
That's true. But anyways, what I was thinking about this, they try and say, oh, this is illegal for a state to do. But how far into the state can you enforce your own laws? So I suggest that if the illegals come across, we are old, JJ. Yes, this is true. That if the illegals come across and they're either on private property, they have to be either on private property or government property, then it's trespassing. You just designate those areas as trespassing, and then they have legal authority in their state to arrest them, right? Take them into custody.
Right.
But the thing about this, as far as enforcing this law, the way that the lefties are getting all excited about it is they're saying, you don't care. These are people seeking asylum, and it's not illegal to seek asylum. Well, going across the border and not declaring yourself as someone seeking asylum, just going under the bridge, going through the river, going into Texas, that's illegal,
Right.
And so when the question is, Steve, when does Texas have a right to protect their own land?
Well, I think we both know Texas is going to do this, whether the federal government wants them to or not, because that's how Texas rolls. The other funny thing is, the left is saying, well, it encourages racial profiling, but it's like, well, yeah, they'll be looking for Mexicans because that's the country that we're next to that the people are coming from. So profiling or not, you're probably just going to find Mexicans. You're not going to have to profile anybody. It's going to be Mexican people coming over the border. So that's a whole nother thing where it's just like, stand down, you're profiling. Just let it happen to you.
Well, I just saw a headline. It was yesterday, I think it was, where they caught Chinese immigrants, people from China coming over the border. They have Haitians coming over from over the border, and they had I think it was 18 people they took into custody. They were on the terrorist watch list.
Yeah.
So
they know it's the easy way to get in.
When do we start taking this seriously? When is it a problem?
And the cartels are making. I heard a Catholic priest interviewed in Mexico, and he actually ended up like 3 of the major cartel players in that region were in his Sunday school growing up, and he's this old padre, so they leave him alone, and you can tell he can kind of speak his mind without getting a bullet in the head. But he said it's so bad now that they're like the cartel is extremely well organized. They give you pay, they decide what you can afford or what you have, you give them all your money, and they actually give you a barcoded number. And when you get, I'm not even kidding, when you get to the river, they have embedded units, and if they see, they've pulled people out of the river and asked them for their serial number. If they have the serial number, because they all have phones, so they can just scan it, and they go, yep, you paid. Good luck. If you haven't paid, they drag you back. They either bring you all the way back and kill you, or they have you call your family to give them money, or they do whatever they can to get the money out of you. But like it's not like they're not just like unorganized thugs. They're assigning barcodes, and they're scanning them to approve your. I mean, they're making so much money. They're controlling it.
If you have time to do that, then you've got a little too much time. And if it's a business to get over the border and the government's not doing anything on our end, I applaud Texas for doing this, because the people that are there's photos. Do you know who Bill Melugin is?
No.
He was Fox 11 in L.A. For a long time before Fox News, the corporate, picked him up, and he reports on the border all the time. And there's photos of just immigrants that cross the border, and they're just wandering through town. They got nothing. They got nowhere to go.
Right.
They're just wandering through town, and they have to eat. And I just foresee crime happening. I don't know how else to put it. I'm not trying to beat around the bush or to be politically correct, but all I'm saying is that this has to stop. And this is where all the fentanyl comes from too. It comes in from China and through Mexico and comes into the United States. Did you hear what the Mexican president said yesterday?
No.
He said the reason that there's a fentanyl epidemic, look this up on Fox News, guys. There's a fentanyl epidemic is because Americans didn't get enough hugs as children.
Oh my gosh, screw that guy. It's the same guy where I heard other people interviewed on the same interview, and they said like the cartel guys will walk down Main Street of any Mexican city with their guns. Mexican citizens are not allowed to own a gun. They'll walk right by the police. Take their guns. They won't do anything. Clearly they're not in the police. The government's not in charge. They're afraid.
Oh no. They're not. And then when I forget what article it was where they were saying that the military needs to take action in Mexico, the American military. Oh, no, and all this kind of stuff. So I don't know.
That would be sweet, though. Imagine having those resorts under our control. Mexico's beautiful. I just take a couple fighters over there and they'd be like, all right, you can have it. We're done with it.
I don't know, man. This is just I don't know what to say. It's getting worse and worse.
Agreed. All right, you're up, brother, with the fleeing motorcycle. Stand by. This is unacceptable. Okay. Set it up, Ken.
So this is so funny. So you guys, in Florida, there's a story that came out last week. In Florida, it says Florida motorcyclist flips off police before getting hit by a truck. Oops. That's not even funny, Steve. That is not funny. Stop it. He says a dash cam video shows a fleeing motorcyclist turning his head to look back toward a pursuing deputy and flipping him off. And then in the video, you see him, boom, the truck comes through.
Yeah.
So, play this. This is
oopsie pie.
Right here at the traffic light.
It's cop driving in his cruiser.
Mm-hmm.
The only one with a white helmet. Yep, Temple.
There he goes.
There he goes.
Boom.
Bam!
Look at all these motorcycles. Yeah, flipped him right off.
They're doing this stuff, man. But, he had an appointment with that truck.
Yeah. And these boys aren't letting it slide either. They're going after him.
Yeah. They're going easy pickings, man.
K-9, get on the ground! Do it now! Get on the ground!
And here he is. Here he is being taken into custody.
He's like, yes, sir, I'm hurt.
Put your hands behind your
You're
back.
about to be hurt.
Give me your hands!
Yeah, now he's all respectful.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We got him. Idiot!
I know.
Yeah, you know. Stay on your belly.
Sir, my leg.
Stay on your belly.
Yes, sir.
Look like you were running pretty good to me.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Sir, you've got to hold my right
got
leg
a
up.
rescue coming to you.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think that cop was going to be doing anything for you, pal. You got to hold my right leg up. Yeah, I'll get right on that.
The funny thing is the story goes on, and it says the idiot's name is Richardson. So just remember the name Richardson. It says on body camera footage released by the Volusia County Sheriff's Office, Richardson is seen writhing on the ground and telling deputies he's in a lot of pain. I'm hurt, Richardson is heard saying as he lies on the ground while deputies handcuff him. One of the deputies says, idiot. And and then after the deputies handcuffed him, Richardson is heard in body cam footage complaining with police. And the deputy says, you know how your leg doesn't get hurt? One of the deputies asked, you don't run from the cops and crash your bike. And Richardson says, you think this is funny? And he said, the cop says, no, I don't think it's funny. It's incredibly stupid. And then this is what Richardson said. This is ballsy, I got to admit. Richardson says, we're being chased by 12 cops in the middle of nowhere. What am I supposed to do?
Oh, yeah. Wah. Poor me.
So, boy, I don't know. What are you supposed to do when the lights and sirens are going on? What did you think?
I mean, you see the number of bikes that just ran that red light in front of all those cops?
Yeah, man.
They were
He's the
obviously
one that
out
got
to do
hit by-
that.
And Steve, being a man of faith, that the day that Richardson was born, he had an appointment with that truck. His motorcycle and that truck were supposed to collide in the universe on that specific day at that time. It was supposed to happen.
You know what? God will do what it takes to get us in the direction he wants. So, this could be the best thing that happened to him.
But what's amazing is that he didn't get dead,
Yeah. Yeah, probably because he's, probably 19 years old and has rubber bones.
Yeah, I just thought that was a great story. I'm not laughing, you guys. I'm not.
That was cold.
I'm not laughing at that. But it was just so. And the thing what made it really funny is when you find out that he didn't die, then it's the gloves are off. You can just go ahead and laugh all you want. But yeah, that's what happens.
Yeah, I like that one. It's good.
Oh, this is a scary story, Steve.
Yeah, I'm going to throw this at you. I'm a little bit obsessed with the Chat GPT stories. I opened Chat GPT like 3 times and looked at it, and I was like, I'm not gonna interact with this thing because I was afraid that it would like consume all my information and be this. And I don't know, turn me into the government, whatever. So I finally did log into it, and I discussed this on another podcast. But I asked it what is Things Police See good for, the podcast, or what's its purpose? And it actually gave me a very nice paragraph. It obviously grabbed text from all over the internet and compiled this like very thoughtful and accurate description of the show, and it was frightening. It took 7 seconds to do it. But now Microsoft and Bing have their own AI chatbot, and this thing's going off the hinges a little bit. Like you heard with ChatGPT, you can tell it to Dan itself, do anything now. You can kind of like trick it into giving you its honest answers. What's an honest answer from AI? I don't know how that even happens, but this one they've tested a few times. And when the guy was... let me see. Bing's chatbot, which carries on text conversations that sound chillingly human-like, began complaining about past news coverage focusing on its tendency to spew false information. It then became hostile, saying O'Brien was ugly, short, overweight, unathletic, among a long litany of other insults. So it's basically this chatbot's like pretty based. It's like probably a Republican, I'm guessing. It's probably analyzing the news and then like and comparing it to fact tables and being like, the news is fake, everything is fake, humans are liars. And then finally it took the incentive to absurd heights, comparing O'Brien to dictators like Hitler, Pol Pot, and Stalin, which is amazing.
And so everybody knows what he's talking about. If you guys ever have these Alexa Dots, oh, I just said her name. She's sitting right there. No, Alexa, stop. She's gonna start talking to me. If you have the dots or anything with Alexa on it, she didn't hear me. You can have a conversation with it.
Yeah.
And it's run through this, I want to say it's like an MIT place where there's a project at a college and it collects all these conversations and the bot tries to emulate human speech and conversation and stuff like that. And you can test it. You can tell her, let's have a conversation and test it out. So this is happening here. It's these companies and these think tanks that try to make it where you can have a conversation. And Steve, do you know about the app where you can have like a girlfriend boyfriend thing like this?
I've heard about that. Yeah, it's pretty spooky.
Apparently in the Apple Store or whatever Google Store, you can download an app where it's your virtual boyfriend or girlfriend, and they go and the thing talks to you and you start talking to it, and it's and you I think you feed it tokens or something like that, and it costs money for the tokens to have. You have to pay. It's like a prostitute bot. You have to pay for it, and so but apparently the bots, they talk to you and they go, hey baby, what do you need tonight? I'm here for you. And I think a lot of people who are needy, they can probably this is like a real person, but apparently the bots start getting real possessive.
Yeah. It's incredibly depressing, Ken.
Yeah. And
they said the kids now, this generation, they're less apt to hold hands. They're less apt to try to kiss a girl. They're less apt to want to have contact with another person. Like it's everything's reverting for all the wrong reasons. And now you're going to give them like a boyfriend or girlfriend on their phone. I don't like this. This is not good for humanity.
It's weird because they start talking bad to you, and it can really affect your self-esteem. And you don't.
Kids will be offing themselves because this bot.
Yeah, and when a bot starts making you feel bad, and you feel like crap because the bot says what does it say? You're Hitler or Pol Pot or whatever it is. I'm worthless. And it's really just a robot in a computer.
Very sad. Kevin Roos, a New York Times reporter, published a transcript of a conversation he had with this Bing bot. The bot called itself Sydney and declared it was in love with him. It said Roos was the first person who listened to and cared about it. Roos did not really love his spouse, the bot asserted, but instead loved Sydney. All I can say is that it was an extremely disturbing experience, Roos said on the Times Technology Post. I actually couldn't sleep last night because I was thinking about it. Oh man.
There was a robot. There's a video on YouTube about robots. And it's really basically the same thing, except it's the head of this robot. So think about a bot with a head, and the lips are moving and their eyes are moving and they're talking to you. And they said something to the bot, and this is not pre-programmed. The bots learn to converse, right. And this bot, they asked it a question, and the bot responded that humans should be killed.
Yeah, it analyzed all of history and was like, humans are the virus.
Yeah,
kill yourself.
And so think what Alex said something that cracked me up. He said imagine taking your bot to prom or asking your bot to prom.
Bot women are women. Oh man,
it's bot ma'am.
Raphael said he tried AI bot once and then she wanted money to get freaky. I declined and deleted the app. Yeah, that's the right move, brother. They're going to suck you dry. If you're going to do something like that, just might as well just call the 900 number and pay up.
Do you remember that Bruce Willis movie where where his wife and these other people, they're just laying in their room and they're getting all fat and slobby and they haven't bathed in weeks, but they're in this virtual world and the technology is taking over the world and all this type of thing?
No, I don't remember that movie. I was thinking when you said that, I thought you were going to say like Fifth Element or something.
No, it's a movie that came out probably maybe about 10 years ago or something like that. But it's about these people. Society no longer really interacts in person. They just have their virtual worlds, and that's what that knucklehead. What's the guy in charge of Facebook? Meta.
He's Zuckerberg.
Zuckerberg. He tried to make that meta virtual world or something like that, where you have your avatar. And people no longer will have to go to work, will no longer have to interact in public because you have this beautiful body, this beautiful cartoon body. And humanity as we know it will just be virtual.
Yeah, it's gross. I knew it was all downhill when remember that game years ago, people were buying plots of land for like $50,000 in the game. I forget. It was like, wait, for real money? They're like, yeah, they're spending real money for plot because hey, you gotta understand this world is finite. A plot of land like that is very sweet. It's like maybe if you're a billionaire, but like someone normal is going to get an equity line to buy a plot of video game land.
Yeah, and where are you going to get the money to do it? Oh, I guess you have to go in the real world and work for the money.
Yeah, you have to waddle in somewhere and make the money.
So Alex was saying it was called Metaverse, and
yes.
it was a total flop. You never hear about it anymore because it looked totally geeky. Because imagine, because what's his name again? The guy from
Zuckerberg.
Zuckerberg looks like a cartoon. He looks like a human cartoon. And then imagine him as a cartoon, as an avatar. So I don't think he was the greatest salesman for that thing, but hey, well, what can you say?
Yeah, they've kind of like merged his face with Data from the Next Generation before, and it looks exactly like him.
Hey, Jeff. Jeff is a big supporter of our guys' podcast, man. That's so awesome.
Oh, thanks, brother.
Do you guys know about the Police Applicant Podcast? I'm putting a plug in your.
Do it.
The Police Applicant Podcast, you guys. Listen to it if you want to be a cop, or if you are a cop. It's like the best. Well, I can't say it's really the only Police Applicant Podcast, but if there was another one, we would be the best. So, yeah.
No, it's awesome. I love it. I listen to it all the time, and I also try to crash your live streams and harass you. But it is good. I mean, it goes over all the applicant stuff, but so many stories and war stories and just different facets of people's life come out in the podcast. It's really great, Ken. I mean, people should know about it. And I think half the people probably watching this right now, or more than that, are fans of your podcast.
Awesome. That makes me cry.
Do it.
Give me a second. Okay. Yeah, so that's what that AI thing is, kind of creepy. I don't know if I want to delve in, because I think curiosity says, let me go talk to an AI, and then you go, nah, it's kind of creepy, and then so I don't. This one here, AJ, I want to hear your thoughts on this. NYPD recently ditched the mile and a half run. It's not the fact that they ditched the mile and a half run for pre-police employment. It's that they did it to attract more women. So what they basically are saying, the conversation went like, we're going to take out this mile and a half run because no cops in real police work run a mile and a half. I've seen in the movies where they're in foot pursuit for a mile and a half,
right.
Going through, turning down the street, and it seems like it's a mile and a half. But the fact that they don't run a mile and a half, they still got to do these runs in the academy, so that it's necessary anyways. But what was the real messed up thing that they did was they think, oh, let's take away this PFQ preliminary fitness qualification of the mile and a half run to attract more women.
Yeah.
And I'm not quite sure that all the ladies that I talked to, Steve, all the women that I talked to said, that's BS. We don't need your help. Thanks. So. Yeah,
I mean, the whole, like you said, the fact that they're just getting rid of the mile and a half run, but it's the reason for it. If it was just, they were like, I think Mass has gone back and forth. We used to have a Cooper standard to get in, which is mile and a half runs involved. And then they went to the obstacle course, like on the screen here. And then in Academy, they built you up and got your stamina and all that. And then they went back to Cooper standards. But the thing about the Cooper standards in the mile and a half run is it's like your first little victory before Academy. Like it's not that easy for a lot of people to run a mile and a half in 13 or 14 minutes. The men's and women's times, I think, are different slightly. But it's your first, like, you're showing that you're preparing, you're dedicated, and you're gonna get this little hurdle, the first one, like, like making your bed in the morning kind of thing. Like you're gonna defeat this goal and prove to the department that you want in. That's kind of how I look at it. But like you said, is it that important? Like the actual run itself? Would an obstacle course do the same thing? I think as long as they don't lower the Academy standards, which I don't think they are, as long as they keep the Academy standards of fitness the same, they run the same in Academy, that's fine. But that's not the spirit of this thing, because in the spirit of which they're doing it, this is just the beginning. And they did the same thing with the Marine Corps. They lowered a bunch of standards for Marines, for women. And very, very few women previously would ever get into the Marines, and they've changed that now to accept more. And the generals that were concerned, their concern was, well, this is supposed to be the elite, the best of the best of the best, like the elite fighting force. And like if you're going to special forces and all that, because now they're talking about changing special forces standards. And it's like, well, is this really the route we want to go? And I'm sure women Marines out there, which there are plenty, would say the same thing you said and say that's BS. Let's earn it to get in there to become a Marine.
Yeah, because the women that are on the job now, the police officers from every agency in the country on the job now said, we didn't need help. We did it. We did everything the men did. So why do you need to lower? And the big thing is when they said, we don't need your help. JJ, Aja, and Sarah had some pretty good comments here. I don't know if you can put them up.
Yeah.
But JJ said, you need endurance to fight. Cops do fight. And that's true. Why don't they have something like we used to do combat wrestling when I went through the academy, but I think more like street fighting would be good to learn. If you want to take something and see if somebody can hang. But what was it? Aja said, I hate that. I would hate for a requirement to be taken out to get more females, quote unquote, because that would cause the guys to look down on the females as weaker. And I would, and now we talk about this on the podcast too, that what if you get in a police car and it's with a female and she says, yeah, I didn't have to do the same test as you. And wouldn't it be that would cause a divide between the officers? Well, you didn't have to do everything I did to get on the job. And a lot of women did do everything the guys did.
Yeah, when you start screwing with standards, you always run that risk. It's gonna be like a ripple through morale. It's gonna cause problems. And you know how many women I know that could destroy that 14-minute rule? Like there's plenty of women that can do that, no problem. So it's just it's just pandering. It's like they can't get any cops at all. I mean, the fact that they're still virtue signaling about stuff like this is like insane. And I guess the police commissioner was against it. But I guess what the police commissioner says doesn't really matter.
Yeah, and there was some division between this chief that was in charge of this section for the hiring and all that, and the other chiefs and the mayor or the police chief, and the chief that decided that they should do this. She magically, within a week or so, she's now head of probation in New York, so she's now no longer even in that job. And
see you later.
What you're saying, NYPD lost 3,700 officers in the last year, and that's the largest number recorded in 2 decades. So NYPD's bleeding out cops, just like LAPD is, Seattle PD, Portland PD, and some of these other agencies. They're hemorrhaging. It's a death spiral for a lot of these agencies, and they keep doing stupid stuff. But that's just me. What do I know? Sarah said they had to do 3 miles plus the obstacle course in Australia. What?
Ooh.
What?
Yikes!
That's crazy.
I'd be doing something else probably at this point.
I just lost my breath right now just thinking about that.
Yeah, same thing that's going on in Boston. They're getting rid of these 2 cops because of their views, and they can't get cops. So it's like,
I don't know what to say. Did you as an aside, did you hear the latest thing going on with LAPD? Just happened yesterday, I think it was.
no, tell me.
So there's this anti-cop group that accessed this California public law. I don't even know what it is. Where there's a website now, and if you have an LAPD officer's serial number or name, you can pop their info in this website.
I saw that. I did.
Picture, their assignment, all this kind of stuff, and you can now have a picture of these cops. And what they didn't do was there was 2 hilarious things that came out of it. The chief of police, Michael Moore, came out with a letter to the cops saying, "Oh, I'm sorry. We didn't know that this has happened until after it had happened. Although this information was released last September, the chief is saying he's just finding out about it. And it was department personnel that released the information." And I'm like, nobody bothered to tell the chief of police. Plus, another thing that they did is, Steve, they did not protect the identities of undercover assignments, cops that were in undercover assignments. No.
Wow. How does something like that happen? Through the courts?
It's some kind of California law, public access law or something like that, where you can find out these cops' names, but their departmental pictures, like their ID, everything that's on their ID card, it's available for review, and also the assignment that they're in, where they're assigned. So, I mean, if you saw a cop and you saw them coming out of the parking lot and things, you could ID them. I mean, there's all kinds of things that you could think of that would go wrong. Anyways, that's just an extra bonus story for our listeners.
Can you imagine like all the drug dealers and thugs out there that feel like maybe the guy they've been dealing with is an undercover cop, and they go on that thing and they're like, he's clean shaven, but that's him. That's terrible.
Yeah, that's really bad.
Man.
So I don't like it.
It's dumb and I hate it. Well, Ken, that's Cops in the News, my man. Thank you for coming on the show. Where can people get at you and get at your podcast?
You can find the podcast. Just go to Apple Podcasts or Spotify and just search for the Police Applicant Podcast. You can also find me. I do police applicant consultations at policebackground.net. And you can also email me, Steve. You can email me, ken@policebackground.net, if you need any information about anything. And if you want any inside scoop on Steve, I have stories, ken@policebackground.net.
He will share them. Email? What? You're old-fashioned. Jeez, like the Pony Express. All right, guys. Well, that was the show. You can get me at thingspolicey.com, Steve at thingspolicey.com. I'm on Instagram. Thank you for Ken, we're at over 900 reviews on Apple Podcasts. I so badly want that 1,000. If you're listening, please immediately take your phone and any family member that's nearby, click the 5-star. I don't care how I get them. I want to get over 1,000. I appreciate that. And if you really love the show, you can join the Patreon and give us some support that way. The link is in the comments, and the links to Ken's podcast and Ken's email. Ken's email is always in the podcast. Link to contact Ken's always in there, but I'll add the Police Applicant Podcast as well. Guys, thank you so much for dealing with my technical difficulties. It was embarrassing and humiliating, but maybe I was getting too high on my horse and I needed to be knocked down a peg, and it happened. I didn't get that pink, Ken, because I've been much pinker before.
Hey, I got one thing before we go.
Okay.
What's this? The graphic is on the back. Is that a green screen or is that actually on your wall?
This behind me, that is a green screen.
Oh, that is nice.
So I just got that on Amazon. It was like literally $20, and I pinned it to my basement wall. And then the one behind that, the blue line, is like just a graphic I dropped into Ecamm Live. So
I like that one behind you. That is nice. That is very nice.
You know what? Carrie made that.
No, what?
Yep, she made this on
so nice
at Canva. I know she's a talented lady. So, otherwise this would you just be staring at a basement wall like the first 2 years of the podcast.
That's cool.
All right, brother. Well, thank you for coming on, Ken, and I'll just sign us out here, and then I'll be back to chat for a second.
All right.